Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the July 8th, 2026 Trees and Public Greenery Committee meeting. First off, we have acceptance of minutes. Everyone had a chance to, yes?
I have a little amendment.
Yeah.
Mine is just that there is not truly a city tree walk yet. It says that Ms. Shag was on the city tree walk, and that's in motion. It's not a done deal.
Okay, so, okay,
Not formalized.
The eventual walk.
okay, and AJ?
My only correction was the person we're talking about is Kyle Lombard. It's listed in here as Van something or other. I actually read the entire minutes. Usually I give him a good skim, and that's about as good as I get. You got him as Van Amberg, and I'm not sure who the hell that is. I'm not sure how Lombard turned into Van Amberg.
Can you spell Lombard for
Lombard?
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, with those corrections, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve with Deb and AJ's modifications.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 67. Do you want to go straight to that?
Yeah.
67 Bridges Court. So we are revisiting this from the last meeting. Michael and Max met with residents and Eversource at the site. And you want to just give us an update and
just a broad statement. It was actually, in my mind, the most collective, informative, productive meeting I've ever seen of city residents.
excellent. Sorry, I missed it.
No, everyone came together and offered their suggestions, and I think at the end of the day, the tree was done no matter what you did. You did underground burials.
cemetery on the
Well,
mind.
burying Barbara.
Mr. Cemetery.
Great language. Do we have anyone from the public who wish to speak to this tree?
Excuse me, Stephen Barnoller at 120 Ridges Court. I wasn't at the last meeting, and my wife got me out of bed this morning, said you would, and this one, but I'm surprised that there aren't other members of the street here.
Is it Stephen?
Stephen Barnoller, yeah.
Would you mind coming up so
Sure.
we can pick you up on the centralized mic on the ceiling?
So our concern, we're at 120 and we moved in, built our house in 2006 and moved in and buried the lines, decided not to have the street light, and I forgot, it was a relatively small amount of money to do it. And the gas lines are buried down to that point too. We had to extend those off. So we're concerned about the tree. Already in this project, there's been a nice red beech tree that's been removed in the large driveway. And I'm not aware of what the options are relative to electric company and city. The tree, as it is right now, I believe it's a Norway maple, right?
Correct.
It's kind of somewhat scraggly because the pole is in there and been taken, and the tree's fighting to get more light, whatever. So I'm just trying to understand, if I could, both from the electric company, from Enron, not Enron, but
Eversource.
So sorry, yeah.
You're good.
What the options are, and what the rainbows, what their interests are in getting more views and taking it out. Is the two poles that are being proposed to, one to take the transformer, and the other to carry the electrical cables, if they're not buried, or are there options on where those poles can go? I guess I'm looking for kind of a restatement from
Sure.
both the city and
Yeah, I can do my best to kind of go over the three options that were presented, and then the final option that
okay.
all the residents during that meeting agreed was the best path forward. So the first option was and I think a lot of the residents were very interested in having the conversation about burying the lines, but it's not very cost effective. It would have required a ground mounted transformer. So in reality, it's a very practical choice
Okay.
for this project. The other option was to, because are you aware of the layout that's down there now? It's just one single pole that needs to be upgraded, and then the lines and a new transformer have to be installed. So second option was to keep that pole as is, which keeps the Norway maple in place, but it then would require an additional pole to be planted about 15, 20 feet away towards 67 Ridges Court, which was not preferable to that resident over there, which would have still required a greater capacity installation and also a transformer. So ultimately, everything that, as you see it down there now, would still be in place with the addition of a taller, greater capacity pole.
To greater capacity to carry the transformer and the lines, or are they separate?
No, it would be all on the same pole, lines and transformer on the same.
One new pole,
One new pole, yep.
and the other one would come out, or not?
Yeah, nope, the other one would stay because there is underground conduit feeding the two houses at the end of Ridges.
Okay.
The third option, which everyone at that meeting found most desirable, is the tree is removed, and where there currently is a pole, they will replace that with essentially that second pole in the previous. That is essentially what is going to happen, but in the same footprint as the current pole. So instead of adding another pole, they will replace that one and make the utility changes that they need to.
Okay, so the third option, the residents will approve that.
Yep, and then in that, we will be planting, because there are no underground utilities through that area, we can plant some small ornamental trees in the city right of way. So that's kind of that Norway maple will come out for this project, but then we'll come back next spring and plant some ornamental trees underneath the line.
Ornamental, fairly low growth, yeah.
Yep. So that there's no conflict with that new line.
And, okay, I mean, it doesn't affect us, our views are out the way and we're, happy where we are. So the meeting today is to reaffirm that, the third position or?
Yes. And to confirm the tree removal request and for our committee to validate that request.
And there's no visual, we do have a visual of the, existing. Yeah. Would the height of the new pole, be significantly higher than the existing one?
Yes. Yep.
I'm kind of truth. So Norway maple is the one with the
Tag on it.
the higher one. Yeah. Yeah, right next to the pole. In a legal sense, it's not, it doesn't make a difference to us, but legal sense, what of that land, I know Peter Vandermark owns the corner over and Mike's and Jeff for the land. Does the city have an easement or right of way?
Mhm.
And how wide is that usually?
In this case, there's actually a pin that you can find out there. It's probably about 6 or 7 feet away from the edge of the road.
Okay. And a new pole, would there be guidelines to hold that pole? Coming out, there are cables coming down, new cables?
There's an existing eye on there now.
Sorry?
There's an existing eye on the current pole now.
So it would be,
I don't know.
oh,
Potentially, and that's definitely a question for Eversource at this point.
yeah. So what's the city's position, the city's position from your side?
I think that these guys met and had a collective meeting with all the neighbors.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys were,
I think my wife
you
was there.
missed it, okay, and they're presenting the option that your neighbors brought forward. And we are here just to confirm what your neighborhood wanted. Correct?
Correct.
And what's the dimensions of the new transformer?
Cannot speak to that. I'm not
I
certain.
want to describe it as being kind of a small suitcase box. I didn't look. Is there one there now on the?
Not on that pole, no, but if you look up Ridges Court, you will see a transformer on top of it.
And I take it that transformer is needed for the increase service to Mike's new construction of the building.
That is definitely an element of it. Yeah,
There was no other upgrades.
not to my understanding.
Current Wi-Fi not affected, is it?
Cannot speak to that. I cannot speak to that.
Well, I'm still the only resident of the so. It sounds like the third option is certainly the best way to do it. Is there any residents, particularly those affected by it, as to the choice of a replacement greenery?
I'll be working with the Foys specifically
Okay.
regarding the.
And then the March to
plantings.
whatever.
Yep.
I have no problems. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, thank you, Steve, for coming.
I'll now go to my spinning class if I can.
Thank you very much.
Your phone.
See you on Thursday.
Judy Miller has.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, your hat.
Oh,
Judy,
thank you. You sound like my wife.
Judy, are you there?
I think you have to allow her
Yeah.
to join us.
Okay, okay. Judy, can you hear us?
I think you need to
Here we
unmute.
go. Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Um, so I had a concern, when they started working on the Hanover garage, they removed, two mature trees along Hanover Street in front of the garage. And I would just, appreciate, that those trees be replaced. And hoping that perhaps that can happen in the fall. I don't know what the plan is, but that's my concern for today.
Okay, thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Max is making a note.
I made a note. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Those hawthorns were taken down 6 months ago.
The Hanover Garage.
So do we need to wrap up the Ridges Court?
Yes.
You
Do
do.
that first.
I'd
So,
like to make a motion
thank you. Appreciate that.
to accept the original request for removal of the Norway maple.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Ian, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay. 270 South Street. We do have, I think, people here.
We're both here from.
Would you like to come forward and give us your name?
So I
And
will. Kim,
address.
Kim Schroeder, 280 South Street, so right on the other side of the tree.
Okay.
Just wanted to get more information and we saw that it was in Fair, I think you rated it. I mean, the tree obviously provides a lot of cooling shade, habitat. It's been nurtured, I think, by the city,
Yeah.
both us when we moved in, trying to trim it and keep it in good shape. So we'd really like to see the tree stay there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we understand safety, but I know we're all kind of after some of the storms, we're all a little like, oh geez. But I mean, from our side, if the wind would have been blowing the other way, it could have fallen on our house. So we're well aware of the safety concerns, but would like to understand if there are ways to be able to save the tree, to, protect maybe the branch that came down, to keep it from rotting, to cover it with, I don't know, tar, whatever kind of thing, steps, measures that can be taken
Sure.
to help save it.
Yeah. We all saw this tree in person, right? Nice, large sugar maple. Did anyone see the tree when it was down on the 18th? The central leader that came out. Were you all?
Yeah.
Did you all see
we
that?
saw it.
Yeah. So pretty significant central leader break, and looking at it makes sense as to how that came out. It was rotten right through the middle. And actually, Stephanie, if you scroll down on some. There's kind of a photo, yeah. So that's what we're working with. right in the central portion of probably the topmost part of that stem, right where other large leaders are attached. So we do have a bit of a compromise section there. The other element, so whenever we have more of a mature maple, especially like something of this size, we like to do what's like a very heavy reduction prune, also called a retrenchment prune. I think the issue that this tree presents specifically, and maybe why that might not be, it's an option, it might not be the best option, is because it's already been pruned so significantly for clearance from 270, that smaller unit that's in the driveway there. And then obviously it's not as maybe over the smaller trees, sort of going maybe near your fence in the back over there. The foliage isn't as pruned, right? So we would have more options to do one of those more significant reduction prunes on a leader like that hasn't already received a whole lot of pruning. But because a lot of the other leaders have received pruning, and sorry to ask Stephanie, if you do scroll back up to that first picture, we can see, right, a lot of that foliage is now more, I would say, in the top half or greater. So our options are much less in terms of reduction pruning to keep that sail a little bit lighter on the tree to reduce that weight, which would then hopefully prevent additional tear outs. That's, I guess, option one. Option two would be to incorporate some kind of cabling system, which is something that we don't typically do. And I think, at least, and AJ, chime in whenever you like, but I think usually when cables are put in, it is almost confirming like, hey, we recognize that there is this structural issue with this tree, or we recognize there is this elevated risk of there's that elevated risk in this tree. Cabling is hopefully buying us a little bit more time, but it's not this remedy that fixes all of those underlying issues. And while it is an option, yeah, I think it's just, you mentioned something about tarring that opening up top, not really an advisable thing to do. Ultimately, then you're just trapping everything that's already within that tree, and it's.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was already like rot going down in there.
Yeah.
If you just go to the last picture, you'll actually
that's-
you'll see the opposing side of it. There's actually rot in every one of these stems.
Yeah.
So squirrels and chipmunks and everybody else have been living. Everywhere you see a little bagel or a donut hanging on the outside of that tree, the center of it is rotted.
It is
Yeah.
rotted in there.
Yeah.
So it's not deep inside of all those. I was able to poke into that a little bit. So it's not really deep inside of all those, but every one of those is just one more pocket that rot has started in there. Those happen because of poor pruning cuts. Pruning cuts are not to our those were done decades ago. Some of them not to our standards now. This tree was topped many years ago, and it caused most of the growth habits with this. If you look at the top of that tree, that top was taken out. In the top, the top of this tree was taken out decades ago because those two side limbs are huge in comparison to the trunk. It's just something that's done to get trees to produce more top. We see it in young nursery stock all the time. And if that the pruning isn't corrected when the trees are small, then you end up with really giant limbs on a tree that really wasn't set up to be that way.
How old do you think the tree is? Was that?
Yeah.
Sure. I know you're not that old, so.
I'm thinking, and when we first looked at this, Max, maybe 300 years old. It's an old tree. I don't know.
No,
But
Yeah, I don't.
It's not that old for a sugar maple.
maybe 100,
no, 100.
Yeah, we could be close to 100 on the other side of that. And not to. There's a tiny little white spot right there, kind of in between these two bulges. Stephanie, if you want to just move your cursor straight to the left, and then right above where the cursor is, that actually is a small fruiting body. So just another indicator of decay. So not for nothing, but it's there. Again, it's a challenge because it's a nice. It's an old large tree, and I guess I'm struggling internally with it because, we want to preserve
Yeah.
what we have and make the best decision for the overall urban forest, right? But sandwiched between three structures that aren't moving, so those are permanent targets, right? Residents coming and going. I don't know how frequent that trail is used to access that cemetery, likely not very often. So really, we're thinking about these immovable targets, the residents of those homes, the vehicles, right? Like as a general, just public health safety standpoint. I'm leaning toward removal like as a professional, right? Recognizing that there are some opportunities to try and prevent future tear outs and future storm damage, but I don't think the reduction pruning, I don't think is a very strong option. And I don't think cabling is a significant option either.
Max, if I could, because I just took a quick look when I was doing my run through all the trees yesterday. Is this a site that would be a candidate for replanting another large tree?
Yeah,
Assuming
absolutely. I mean, so this is a weird spot, and I think it would be working with the abutters, right? And just making sure everyone would either be happy with the replacement or happy with the selection that goes in. Because if we hadn't done that cemetery work down there and been put on notice about all the dead trees in the cemetery and the ambition to make that a bit more publicly accessible, I would have never known that this was a city tree. So having said that, again, having it be, as much a part of like the residents' homes as it is city right of way, I would definitely want to work with the residents and make sure everyone's happy with what would go back in.
Who made the original request?
So the 270, because
That's the old flower shop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he owned, that's a
He owns
rental.
both.
He owns
two
both of them,
houses
and
there.
that's this, we didn't know, we couldn't see the rot from that side.
Right.
When it went down, I saw it go down.
Oh, wow.
It,
Did the wind shear take this down?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's obviously an unusual occurrence, but it happened. And I mean, we've been going through this for almost 10 years since we've been here. We did the first trim because it was over our house, and then you were in, I think, twice at least.
Yeah.
And maybe when you did the cemetery clear. So, I mean, we've been trying to save it for a while, but I mean, I wanted to hear your opinion too. The concern that I had was that crack from the top to the bottom
Sure.
and actually, splitting. But I wanted to actually, get a professional opinion because I'm not.
Well, this is one of those decisions we make where we agonize over it. It's not easy as members, and for me, it always comes down to safety. And having seen trees come down, remember the sugar maple we took down in Haven Park, and that was an emergency removal. And this looks a lot worse than that tree. So yeah, I've actually been around a silver maple where a whole section of the tree just came crashing down without any warning. It wasn't windy, nothing. It was incredible to hear it happen. And luckily no one was standing under the tree when it happened, but and it's still up there, the rest of it's still up there, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, I understood the concerns, and that's why, since it was such an unusual with that wind shear, it was like, okay, was it just because of the extreme conditions? What's what I wanted to understand,
Well,
like what you saw in the tree.
in part it is absolutely, we can absolutely attribute the failure to those extreme conditions.
Yeah.
Without those underlying issues,
Maybe
maybe not, it likely would have not failed in that way. But because of those underlying issues paired with just that the forces presented in that microburst, or whatever we want to call it, exceeded the capacity of that tree to keep itself upright, at least that one portion.
And yeah, I'm whatever, is determined, is fine. I'll be content with, I'll be sad if the tree comes
Yeah.
down, obviously. And I do appreciate the the replacement, to be able to replace it and then to work with us and, you know, what's good to put back in there, so.
Absolutely.
So just a quick, does that mean you have to take out the whole base and the core before you replace it too?
Not necessarily. We, again, depending on what everyone agrees upon and if we, you know, we're likely not going to replant in that exact location where the stump, where the tree currently is standing. We have some flexibility to move it around, and obviously, again, it'll come down to you and your neighbor. If you want some kind of like row of whatever, right?
Something,
Like we
yeah.
can move, we're really flexible. We have a 16-foot wide right of way through that area, so we have plenty of space to plant.
So, but you can't, well, I don't know what the ordinance is about blocking the right of way to the cemetery. Because now they're taking big machinery down there,
Sure.
so they still have to get.
I think, you know what, that does limit our ability to throw a tree wherever we find suitable, but I think there's enough room to facilitate that walking, that trail, and also get some trees in the ground.
Awesome, okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting up and coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for removal.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, favor? I'll vote in favor for safety reasons. So we have 2 in favor and
I'd have 3 in favor.
3 in favor and, oh my gosh, okay.
My
So,
vote is not to remove the tree.
I'm with Michael at this point.
It's a 5 microburst, it's got 10 years left in it.
I really appreciate Max's full explanation of the situation and AJ's. So here we are.
That's not an easy removal.
I think at this point, if there is, I mean, we're really close to, I mean, well, I don't know, we're 3 and 2.
3 and 3.
Oh, someone could abstain.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
Yeah. So 3 and
Okay.
2, would it make sense to, I can see if I can get a professional third party.
You want Liz to do the track on it?
great
Yeah,
idea.
if someone wants to
Okay.
do a track on it, and then
I
we
would,
can
that would be
get
much appreciated.
Great idea.
Great,
just to,
tie it up.
yeah.
Thank you.
And that way we can revisit it next month. I don't, you know, knock on wood, I don't think we're gonna have another significant weather event such as that. I'm not a weatherman, don't quote me, but at the same time, if it buys us a little bit of time and we can get another professional opinion on that tree, and maybe we can sway a few more votes toward
Thank you.
removal, and then when we have a fuller house, maybe then is that a
Yes.
is that a new motion then?
We need to make a motion to reconsider because technically it did pass by 3-2.
Okay,
So I will make a motion to reconsider the removal request that I just made.
Who made the initial?
I did.
Ian.
Yes, you can, yep.
Okay, and.
So then take a vote on that and then table it.
Yeah,
okay.
so we need to vote on the reconsideration.
Yes, okay, all in favor?
Aye. I second it and all in favor.
Okay,
So we killed his motion
we killed,
to kill the tree.
thank you, AJ.
Now you're gonna just say that, you know, you're gonna give us a month to figure this out.
Okay, thank you.
So
Done.
we're tabling it, you're gonna get.
no,
somebody else to take a
I'll
look.
either work with Liz, we have money to hire someone to, but if Liz is willing and is able to come down.
Yeah, she just went through the newest track series at our place, and we just hosted the class, so Liz can do it separate from us. I'll either get together with you or Steve, whatever, and fly up in the truck and take some measurements of how deep the rock goes from the top. So we'll have rods, so we'll turn it into a level 2, but Liz won't. There's different levels of track certification.
Clarify, Liz.
Liz McKinley, she's a community forester, works for me, certified arborist,
Okay.
so she'd be removed from us. But you know, she can do this track assessment for the city for nothing. But there's different levels of when you do track assessments. Level 1 is you're looking at just same thing we did, just look from the ground, don't have all the answers because you're not up in the truck and all that kind of stuff. What I'll do is either I'll go with Steve or whatever, or Steve can go and I give him my tools and we'll measure what we can't see. And none of us can see all the way at the top of that. So you'll get a better picture of how, you know, where the rod is in that tree and where's it moving. The advantage with sugar maples over silver, 10 times stronger tree.
Yeah.
It's still a maple, but it's a very different tree. 30 years ago, we used to put cables in these trees like this all the time. But you know, cabling, you know, it's not a fix, it's a sales approach. Some people swear by them, that's great, but unless you go back and check that cable and keep an eye on it, the tree changes and it responds to or doesn't respond to the cabling system. And I mean, we put cables in hundreds of trees all over, you know, southern Maine when I was working for the arborist, and I know we never went back and looked at them for 3 years that I worked for them. So if you are gonna cable a tree, the city, you know, is accepting the liability that tree has issues, which we already are right now. You're cabling it, then you're accepting the issues that you're gonna put into that. And in my opinion, this isn't the horse chestnut tree downtown, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And they're doing everything they possibly can, because that tree is just in a different category. This isn't that kind of tree for me, but we can get that information back. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah.
Then I'll make a motion to table the removal request and instruct Max to get additional opinion on the removal.
Okay. I thought we already had,
No, we just reconsidered the vote that we previously made. We hadn't
Okay, all
done
right.
anything to
Thank you.
make any direction on it.
okay, so do we have a second to Ian's new motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joanne's gonna have a fun time
I
sorting this.
know.
Guess who she's going to ask about it?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I deal with it all the time.
Okay. All right. And Haven, there it is.
Haven Park Hemlock.
Yes.
Yeah, this was brought up by a resident, and yeah, I mean, it is not of peak health. As we can see in that photo, there's some foliage loss and decline throughout the tree. And then on the next photo is the
Yeah, right.
basal wound with, you know, some decay through. And yeah, I mean, it's got a bit of a lean also, which kind of lends to, I mean, it's just, you know, I wouldn't say it's a lean that has sprung on recently or due to that microburst. It's just been growing. Like that's just been its growth habit, trying to kind of get away from the other 2 or 3 trees that are in that area. And yeah, I didn't write in the description that it was a recommendation for removal at this time, just because we've already lost quite a few trees in Haven. But obviously now that we've, you know, I think I've almost certainly seen this tree before and never really considered it a removal candidate. But we can scrutinize it into the future if it starts to look even worse than it is now. And we start seeing other indicators of decline or failure, then yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. But I think at this point, I'm not super concerned about this tree. My suspicion is that it will continue to decline, like the foliage will continue to decline, and the removal will just make more sense at a later date.
Okay, so we're not concerned about safety. It's okay.
Not in particular.
So I'll make a motion to continue to look at this tree and to no cutting.
Deny the request.
Okay.
I agree.
Michael seconding. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
While we're on this corner, I'll talk about the park a little
Aye.
bit later. There's a red maple on the sidewalk. Massive thing.
Inside the park?
It's inside the park. It's to the left of those trees.
Okay.
I want you to go in and take a close
Oh,
look.
the
The whole trunk is snapped off, but the tree is still intact.
red maple right there.
No, red. Oh,
Oh, red oak. Okay. Yep. Oh, yes. Yes, we are aware of those, both of those two large oaks. We are aware.
Okay.
We will get in there hopefully soon.
Well, they're
yes.
They're rugged, but.
Okay, yeah, for sure. No, that is on our radar / to-do list, so.
Okay, moving on, Hancock Street at Marcy. So we have a green ash, a black locust, a red maple, all looking really sad.
Yeah, definitely some rough looking trees, ash here, clearly struggling. We have this locust that's, got this huge canker around the front side. And Stephanie, if you scroll down one more, there's a close up. So I wrote here that of the 20-inch DBH of this tree, 12 of it is not active. Like there's no bark, no cambium.
Okay.
There are exposed roots on this tree with also with wounds and everything too, and there's carpenter ant activity. So in my mind, it looks nice and vigorous in its canopy, but when we kind of look at the tree as a whole, that doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence for me. So, and then finally, the maple is this red maple here. Obviously, it has declined a bit, and we can go through and pull out the dead, but ultimately, if it were to stay, we would do a clearance prune, and that would remove even more of the foliage from the tree, which I think would just ultimately stress it out. And I just see this and view it as a removal more than a prune.
Yeah.
What do you see for replacement?
I would probably not, right? I would likely work with Strawberry Bank.
Okay.
Just because that's, it's a space that it looks like they've thrown arborvitae all the way through. So if that's how they want to continue, kind of creating some kind of hedge, great. If they want to throw some shade trees in, also great. But it would be something that, and the city right of way, for what it's worth, it goes through the center of that strip between the road or the sidewalk and the parking lot. So really, it's definitely more of a shared space than outright a city space.
Okay.
So yeah, I would absolutely work with them and just let them know, hey, we're removing these trees at some point. We should probably not let cars park underneath there for that day. And also that's when I would introduce the idea of, whatever we want to do for replacement.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion?
I would make a motion to remove all three.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
I.
Aye. AJ?
That's right.
You guys got
Thank
it.
you.
I didn't say a lot less.
All right, Parrot Avenue at Junkins.
Another set of red maple. So this first one here, in my opinion, is also. The other tree, I think we can get by with just doing some pruning while we're there.
That would be great.
Yes.
I would move that.
You make that a motion.
I will make that a motion that you will take the first maple.
Correct. The tree in poorer condition.
That's correct, and leave the other one and do some pruning.
Yes.
Yes, I'll make a motion for that.
And do we have a second? Michael? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Now we're moving. All right.
Hudson Street at Union
I
Street.
mean, look at this thing. It's,
Oh my gosh, how did it even get past you, Max?
I
It's
know.
so surprising.
it's definitely declined pretty rapidly.
Is that true?
Unfortunately.
Mhm.
Obviously we can see that tear out from the storm.
Huh.
And I think some of this, this is a pretty harsh spot. There's a lot of impervious surface in this area. This road was just completely reworked with the sewer separation project. So I think it went through the ringer, unfortunately, and, paired with this damage and its general decline, its rapid decline. I
So
think
we
it's a
took
result.
two out to the right of that tree.
Yeah, so there was how many years ago?
Three.
3? Okay. Yeah.
You need something on that corner.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. We also lost a large red oak from the same project. So it is very unfortunate to lose yet another large shade tree in
Yeah.
this location.
But this isn't a shade tree any longer.
No, it's not,
You
no.
know, so I would make a motion to remove this tree and replant with something charming.
Can do charming, great.
Is that on the final page of the list of trees?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Could be a white lilac. You know.
Do we have a second for this charming motion? Ian. Okay, Ian, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So those ginkgos just up the street that we were so concerned about, they've gone crazy.
They're looking really good.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Oh, I'm
trees.
gonna have to pay more attention. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah,
That's great.
looking really good.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put those little bump outs.
Yeah, yes.
They're going to the moon. They look beautiful.
So lindens were a choice for urban planting trees, but they haven't proven to be a great choice now, or they still are?
I
They
think
still are? Okay, just wondered.
I think they handle the urban environment really well,
Mhm,
but they're a little bit messy.
mhm.
They get they get just a very messy tree. Honeydew like crazy from the aphids. So it's a nuisance tree for a lot of residents, but I think in the right location, it's a really solid tree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 165 Richards Ave.
Yeah, so when I saw this, I knew that it was it's almost one of those, it's borderline for me. It isn't. It's borderline in the sense that we should just remove this thing because of the storm damage and how it's now completely off balance and it lost 50% of its canopy. But I still wanted to go through the process of just, letting you know that this thing was as a result of that storm. And it wasn't like imminently failing. So I figured it happened so close to this committee that I would just put it through to you all.
Yep.
So.
Okay. We have a motion?
Under those circumstances, though, you can take that down like you did on Meredith Way.
Yeah.
Without coming to committee.
Yep, that'd be me taking a photo and saying, all right, if anyone asks, I have the photo and the reasoning behind it. So,
I prioritize.
yep.
We've done that in the past where, when Chuck was on, he either called me or call somebody. We get another set of eyes on the tree, as quick as we could, that day. So this would have long cracks and whatever else. Tough thing that this got a little kid swinging it right now, but
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will follow that then and just say, all right, I will remove and then notify versus.
Get it down before school starts.
Sure. Oh yeah, that'll happen next week.
Okay, so we do need a motion. It's on the agenda. Yes, okay. So do we have a motion?
I'll make
Someone.
it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make
But
it.
AJ
Second.
and Michael. Okay, thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're down to 224 Elwyn Avenue at Sherburne, which is very hard to find.
If you may recall that we introduced the tree on the right for removal.
Yes.
And the reasoning behind not removing that tree was that it was in some way adding a layer of protection to the tree that we're now considering for removal, because that tree that we said no to, actually half of it failed in that storm. So we will remove the right side of that tree. And then in that same day, the same day we go out, ideally, we're also removing this other tree that has a significant lean over the structure in the backyard. And that's it.
Okay. And there's no one here from the public. So do we have a motion?
So you're saying both go?
Yeah, so the tree on the right is being removed no matter what. Half of that, greater than half of that failed onto that structure center to the center in the photo. And with that other tree gone, or now half the size, again, that protection factor is diminished. And my thought now is, okay, we have all of this weight that's going over the structure. We've pruned it previously, so it's very, top 50% of the weight, or all of the weight of that tree is in the top percent. And my fear is that it's now just more open to those external forces and fail out.
All right. Do we have a motion to remove?
The one on the right's automatically going, yeah, otherwise I cable.
So Michael, and do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Right, sorry.
Aye, okay. Thank you. Well, that takes us down to new business. So again, Max, this is on you, review of storm and
Sure.
damage to Haven Park. And anything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, by my count. We lost 9 trees in Haven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say 6 of the, so the majority, 6 out of the 9 were medium to very large sized trees. Beyond that, Wentworth Cemetery, we lost 3 large Norway maple and a large willow center to that cemetery.
Where's that?
If you,
For senior living.
Oh, okay.
yeah. that-
Yes, I saw that. I
Cemetery
saw
next
that.
door, yep.
Yes, okay.
So
So we lost what again? 3?
3 Norway maple
Mhm.
and 1 large weeping willow.
Right.
Mm.
And our neighbors across the street lost, I think, 2 large weeping willows in their backyard.
Yeah. It's in that cemetery, we had maybe as much like private tree damage that failed as we did our own. So it was quite a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And the
not-
Renlet May lost trees as well.
Yep.
I think that's technically Pleasant Street Cemetery. Uncle, is that
Yes,
one?
that's correct.
Okay.
For the-
Beyond that also, so Langdon Park, we lost a large white oak. This was the one that you could see very clearly from Lincoln Ave. And it was the one that had the nice overextended branches over that private residence, very tall old tree.
You're gonna take the trunk down?
It's already all gone.
Yes.
Yep, it's all gone, yep. So that, from that oak, a large leader failed into a sugar maple, which started crushing that sugar maple, so we then had to remove that. And then there was another sugar maple closer toward the, like if you follow that path going toward the playground, we lost another one in there. And then over off of Rockland Street, I think still technically in Langdon Park or close to the tennis courts, pickleball courts, we lost a Norway maple over there as well.
Oh.
There were 2, right? It just got pulled right out by the.
Yeah, there was, all right, so thank you. Yeah, there were a couple, there was a smaller Norway and then there was a larger one that fell through the fence near the ball field.
Mhm.
Out of the ground.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Same in the Renlet May, just ripped right out, twisted and ripped, yeah.
So how, in terms of the city response to that, I mean, it's a bit overwhelming. So do you just call other
Yeah,
tree
Knowles came in
company?
and did most of
I
the
saw
things.
Knowles working it, yeah.
I was glad to see that they were.
All in and spent $100,000?
No, half that.
Oh,
Yep, half that. They treat us pretty good.
wow.
Yeah, it was an argument of we can put our crew on it, but it would have taken 3 times as long, or we get the
Absolutely.
professionals in there with the heavy equipment and clean it up for the fourth, and we had it all pretty much taken care of by last weekend. So I think
Yeah.
it worked out really well.
Yeah,
And again, safety issues,
Of course, yeah.
people walking through Haven Park.
It was a challenge. It was like every time I drove by just to check it out or see the progress that Knowles was making, there was somebody within the taped off sections. And it's like, you not know where you're, like, please look up, just stop taking your photo, just take your photo from,
Yeah.
farther away. But that's how
Human
it works.
nature and, yeah.
Yeah, curious, yeah. Very, very curious public,
Yes.
so.
and when I drove to this meeting this morning, I looked over and I must say, it's sunny there
It is sunny.
Yeah,
and it's spacious. And as Pat and I lamented and cried a few tears, it's, it's not tragic.
yeah.
Well, it's okay. Possibilities.
While we're on that subject, I would like to present, or at least as a suggestion, taking this opportunity in Haven Park
Mhm.
and I don't know whose service you would use, but if you could transform this into Goodwin Park. I mean, actually have someone professionally take a look at the replanting and where to do it.
Okay.
I have a concern that the John Porter Monument
Mhm.
is being blocked by those two trees on Pleasant Street. So if someone came in with a broad plan to redevelop, Bicycle Bob Schaus, do you remember him?
Yes, I do.
Sure,
Right across the street,
sure.
and he was adamant that those trees are blocking the statue.
So you want to see a landscape design to open to, so you can see through the park and respect the
Whatever you're
statue.
gonna do on your red oak,
Sure, yeah.
or clean that corner up and open
Huh,
up. As you drive by now, you can't see that horse.
no, I know what you're saying. There's a lot of overgrowth too.
That's a lot to ask, but I think this is an opportunity to transform that park. Help it out anyway. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Put that on your to-do.
The retirement plan?
It would be nice.
Just be mindful when, when they did the park in Islington,
Mhm.
there was a lot of care and put in all that kind of stuff and everything else, but we've been taking stuff back out of there for years. And it was there was a very ambitious plant a lot was the part of the plan.
Yeah.
And we've been taking material back out of there for various reasons between the police department and everybody else wanting stuff out.
Mhm.
I'm just pleased the way it looks right now. It's
It held up.
Yes. Yeah, it's beautiful. So how do you go about that? I mean, if you want to follow up that suggestion in terms of design, like who actually decides?
I'd probably work with Lauren and Peter, obviously, when he's back, we'll bring this to his attention and see.
Okay,
I don't know. I haven't touched base with any other individual about, what we can do or what we should do with this
Right.
park.
right.
The thing that I'll say, and I'm glad Joe isn't here to hear this, but I don't like that it's an off-leash dog park. And I know she spoke, in favor of that being an off-leash dog park, but anyway, that's for another time, I suppose. But yeah, I think this is an opportunity after the fact to maybe make some changes with Haven, and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Yeah, and thank you. As a resident, I really appreciate the effort the city put into
Mhm.
cleanup. I mean, it was devastation. I mean, a lot. And I think you responded really well.
And no one got hurt.
yeah,
So that really
yep.
did well for all your looking around, all the
Yeah.
eyes on the trees. I think of that every time we have something.
Do we have any other new?
There's a follow-up to your catalpa tree on the
Yes.
corner of Spring and Broad.
I wanted to follow up with the catalpas. It's been just another month
Will
of
survive.
compression on that tree.
I think it'll be okay, but
It looks it looks pretty bad. It's not gonna hurt to let it hang out. Would you want to throw anything at it or no?
In terms of
Compost or,
yeah,
So,
there's no
sorry,
reason.
can we back up? Have the gravel been removed around the tree? I haven't been by.
I don't believe so.
no, it's crushed.
Okay, so we'll be asking them to pull that back and then we will come in and compost and put the compost or do something
I
or.
don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we could do some, there are some options that immediately just came to mind. So yeah, I think we just have to, I don't think there's a big problem with having the crushed stone around the base of the tree. That's not quite, I think the damage has already been done in terms of what they did to those roots.
Yeah,
But the crushed stone doesn't, to me, I mean, that.
It's more of an aesthetic thing?
Yeah, and that whole site before was just like, it seemed like it was hydrophobic almost with how much compaction there was, because they were driving their car all
yeah,
over
I
that.
was watching that.
So this
yeah.
might actually, I'm not gonna say it's better, but I'm not gonna say it's worse than what was previously around.
Think we have to be careful about, having residents, what we work with them to do on easements. This was pretty aggressive.
That is a challenge.
So I think people having gardens and putting plant material in our easements and working with that, I find that refreshing and lovely, but this seemed a little bit aggressive.
Sure. Yeah, I think
And I
if
don't think we
they,
want that going on around the
if they
city.
if they didn't cut those roots and they just did the like crushed stone, great, no problem. But
Correct,
I
yeah.
think the fact that they,
Give it
you
10
know,
minutes.
they
I
did
agree.
that was unfortunate.
Okay.
Any other items, new
Did
business?
Peter send that information to legal department?
I have not followed up with him.
Okay, we'll follow up with that, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So are we good?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're good.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Michael,
Second.
jump in there.
Get me out of here.
And Deb, thank you. All right, great meeting. Thank you.
Great
guys.
meeting. Thank you all. And Max, thank you so much. It's just